All right, welcome back to the podcast, guys. Episode number 5, right?
5.
Yeah, episode 5. Another special guest on today. Pretty cool one here because this person, I feel like their climb into the professional scene was very fast. They kind of exploded out of nowhere, had a really great season, and then totally left California and left us all in the dust. So, but I'll shoot it over to them, let them introduce themselves. Dre, on over to you.
What's up, everybody? For those of you that don't know me, Dre already, KingDreC1out, formerly DreOxys when Mew was legal, but I've retired that one when that deck, phased out. So, but yeah, member of the Shuffle Squad. I'm now in my 3rd season playing in the Pokemon circuit. And I got sponsored my first year as a player. Been to Worlds both years, hoping to get into Worlds as 3rd year. Top 16 Fresno, few top 32 Pittsburgh, few 64s and all that. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah, you get a Worlds invite this year, you'll be coming back home, pretty close anyway.
Yeah.
So, or the next 2 years, right? So,
right.
Yeah, we hope to, obviously hope to see you. We miss having you around, running into your cups and everything. So,
if the season ended today, you'd be making Worlds, right?
Yeah, I'm like at 118. I haven't had the strongest year, but after everything I've gone through this year, I'm surprised I'm still even where I'm at.
Bro, with the move and everything else is like,
yeah, moving across the country, getting all settled in from everything. Then, yeah, it's been wild. So, but hopefully now these last few events I have ahead, I'm finally settled in here that I can actually start to focus more on Pokemon. And I think my entire season hasn't been very. I haven't been able to lock in like I was my first 2 seasons before events. So hopefully these next few events, I feel like a lot more prepared. So hopefully that means better results.
Nice. Yeah. That kind of, that leads to a question that I think we all have had or have for you. Is like, how did you start playing competitively? I know you were in college for football, if I remember correct. And then I don't know if you want to give a little bit about your backstory and kind of how you got into Pokemon or when you started playing competitively or anything like that. I think it's always cool to hear how someone gets into the game, and then especially someone like yourself who's really exceeded and excelled at the game,
Yeah, I appreciate you. But yeah, when I first started getting into it, I played football, and I've always liked Pokemon since I was a kid. I liked the cards. But I just didn't have the money when I was younger. Grew up in a pretty low income home. Any of my money I was making, I was literally putting diapers and socks on my brothers and sisters. So I never really spent money on things I wanted. If I got Pokemon cards, just because I was ripping packs inside Walmart or Kmart. So I never paid for cards. But yeah, when I actually got into playing the game, I was in a completely different bracket monetarily. I was able to actually afford cards because post college, post football, I started doing tattoos, and so that was pretty good income. And then ripping the packs, I would use the code cards. I downloaded the game, was playing PTCGO, did not know how to build a deck, was just playing whatever was on there, the preset decks and stuff. And then I go to a tattoo party thing, and I'm there early. I have my stuff set up, and then the girl that was running it, her fiance Isaac, who's a local in Fresno, he comes, sits down next to me, sees me playing on the tablet. He's like, "Oh, you play?" I'm like, "Oh, I just mess around." He's like, "Oh, you play in person?" And I was so taken aback. I was like, "They still do that?" I didn't even know it was still an in-person thing. And he told me the stores to go to. I go to Triumph. Shout out Triumph over there in Fresno. First night I'm there, I meet Evan. I'm sure all y'all know Evan. And he comes and introduces himself. Super nice guy. Love that guy. Miss him too. Shout out Evan. Miss you, bro. I had a Venusaur V theme deck. I just bought one at Walmart because I didn't know. I showed up and he's like, "Yeah, no, you can't play that." So he hands me Turbo Zacian, and I think I went 1-3. And then in that one win, I was like, okay. And then even the 3 losses, I felt like, you know what, I'm getting it. I'm understanding it pretty easily, pretty fast. I just need to get good. And I just started grinding. And I have a perfectionist like attitude where I want to like I don't like losing and I need to be as best as I can.
For sure.
So I spent hours just getting good at the game, reviewing old videos of like previous regionals, previous worlds. It's like people talk about decks and stuff that I was never around for, but I know them because I watched like a lot of the videos and really studied the game because a lot of those interactions are repeated. Yeah, and it was just a snowball effect from there.
I'm sure a lot of that portrays from like you playing football, right? Like watching tapes, like getting all those reps in to get better at the game. Obviously, you played for a really long time, so how did football help you transition to Pokemon, if at all?
Well, it totally did. Like my ability to absorb information in short periods of time it's just been something I've always been able to do. It's kind of what made me good at football too. I played quarterback, so I always had to know not only what I needed to do, what my receivers needed to do, my running back needed to do. I needed to know what my offensive line needed to do. I needed to know how to read a defense. So just with the way for those of you that aren't sports people, I needed to see how my opponents stood on the field, and just them standing on the field would tell me a good chunk of what I needed to know of what they were trying to do. And then I would adjust sometimes on the fly. And then after I would snap the ball, I'd have like milliseconds to watch how they moved, my opponents moved, and react to that as well. So I think all of that compounded has helped me in Pokemon because I was able to I'm always been able to hold information quickly. The reaction, being able to read and react is something that's really, really, key to sports, but translates well in Pokemon. Obviously at a slower pace, but being able to adjust on the fly too is something that's like very, very important to pick up. And then also I don't feel pressure as much as other people do, I think, because of sports.
Yeah, especially quarterback, right? Because you have, like you said, those milliseconds and everyone in the world trying to run at you. So
yeah,
I also think, and you touched on it a little bit with having to read defense and everything, but I think the playbook itself really helps too. Because you had to remember the plays, it translates into you having to remember meta decks, and not just your deck, but everyone else's, right? So you having to remember multiple things on a field. I feel like that translates really well when you're looking at like a meta and you're like, all right, there's 10 decks that I'm expecting in the room. Here's like 80% of the card pool, right? Like I feel like that does help when you have that mindset.
No, exactly. And then also like even things like where you're playing a game and you're playing against like a matchup you've played before, right? And if I see like the same kind of things, like if I'm in practice, if I'm seeing it, it's the same thing if I see like somebody discard a certain card, or if I see somebody go search for a certain card, I know the play that they're looking towards. Kind of like how if like on the field I'm watching tape and I see that, oh, this team likes to like have their defensive back scoot in more and send them on a blitz. They'll line up a little bit more shallow than normal. And I'll know that the blitz is coming, and that if I know that blitz is coming, then I know you always throw the ball towards the blitz. So my receiver's going to be wide open. So it's almost the same thing too. I know like, well, if they're going for this play, I can play around that. And if as long as I don't let them get that play, I probably just win.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's always cool to see, like, I mean, Pokemon and football are two entirely different things, but they still have something that mends the gap, right? That correlates with each other, and that's always just cool. It's cool to listen and kind of pick your brain on how you translate the two. So with that being said, though, I mean, you kind of mentioned that you feel more prepared now that you're settled. You're able to test more for events. You're able to kind of get back in your routine. Are you going to any upcoming events, Atlanta, anything like that?
Yeah, so I'll be going to Atlanta, pretty much every North American event, I'm pretty sure, right? So my schedule remaining is Atlanta, Monterey, Milwaukee, Portland, and NAIC, as long as I can get into those last two.
Gotcha.
Which I'm pretty sure is like that one Mexico event and like the remaining NA events is what I'm looking towards.
Gotcha. So I mean, with that schedule ahead, obviously Atlanta, new format, rotation happens. What's your starting point right now, without giving too much, right? I don't want you to be like, oh, this is what deck I'm playing, but like, where do you start? How are you, you know, for people that maybe this is their first regional or their first time really grinding for a regional, like what does your testing look like? What does your starting point look like? Anything like that? Like any insight to like a casual player going competitive, or even a competitive player that's just trying to move forward a little more?
I mean, about me, I'm always straight up. So like, I don't care. Like, I'll let people know. Like, with the decks that like are going on right now, everybody should be 100% knowing that Terra Box is like number one. Everybody has been hyping it. Everyone's been testing it, including me, and like it does live up to the hype. It's a very strong deck. The knockdown engine is going to be crazy. It's going to give us like reminiscence of like the Shady Dealings. That was like my first season was when that engine was around. And I wasn't quite as sharp of a player, I feel like. So I never played like the Palkia deck. I just stuck to Mew because it was something I knew best. And it, you know, for me in my first season, I'm like, I'm going to play the one deck that I know I play really, really well. I'm not going to misplay. Whereas those decks, I'm like, well, that's a lot you have to do. You have to chain things together. I don't want to misplay. Someone that's better at the game, especially me being a rookie, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get outplayed if I try to pick that up without enough prep. So now, as I have a decent amount of playing under my belt, I've played plenty of different decks now. I can see the strength of being able to cherry pick what you want, and now I can actually understand prize mapping and you know how to keep my board consistent and chaining like knockdowns and stuff like that. So that deck Terra Box definitely up there. Its skill ceiling is very, very high, but also is crazy that I think its floor is actually also very high. I think somebody that has not been playing very long can probably pick up the deck like right now. I think we have about 3 weeks away ish, and 3 weeks might just, I think, is plenty of time to like have a good hold on it where you can get a decent amount of wins at a regional with the Terra Box if you get the reps in like starting now. So its floor is high, but its ceiling is even higher. So the skill expression is wild. Dragapult, we all kind of known because of Japanese results that it remained like the BDIF immediately after rotation. But then, you know, it kind of sucks that the rest of us, like, we don't get that progression in the meta.
Right.
So we're skipping straight past it and going straight to like countering it before we even got to see it dominate. So, but I still think that Pult can hold its own. I mean, it definitely has a lot of good matchups. It's a very powerful deck, but I think Terra Box might kind of push it to the side a little bit. Walls, I feel like, is another deck that it kind of sucks that we skip like that meta progression because of Japan. Like, Walls was so good because it countered Dragapult, it
countered Raging Bolt.
It countered Raging Bolt. It countered even the Terra Box. And then all Terra Box had to do was throw a cornerstone in, and now they're fine.
Right.
It's like now Raging Bolt can throw a cornerstone, and they're like, okay, well now I don't lose to Wall. So it's like it kind of sucks that we miss out on that. It just feels like it's Terra Box, and then hope you playing something that can have a 50-50 against Terra Box and have good matchups versus everything else. Which I feel like Raging Bolt is actually kind of in that conversation, and that's another deck that like pre-format was really consistent. But it just got bodied by the one prizers, and I don't really see one prizers in this initial post rotation format being very good.
Right, except for Alligator, right? That's the only really one prize. And
I played a lot of Gator. I tested a lot of Gator. I think that deck's fraudulent. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but like I think it is. I think it just has a good way into like the Walls decks. I think that's why it ate the way it did at Fukuoka. Right. Like, I don't think it's that good into everything else.
Yeah.
So, I think Raging Bolt is actually a pretty good spot too. The Knockdown engine, once again, just like making things even more consistent for the deck, and it can blow up anything. So that's kind of just what it has going for it. So, I mean, those are probably the 4 main things though. Is like Pult, Terra Box, Walls, and Bolt. Those are kind of like my starters of like, those are probably the in some combination they'll be within the top 5. Those 4 would definitely be in the top 5.
Sure.
Now with
I feel like Terra Box is like really good because it can take prizes really fast against Pult, and it puts Pult in a really tough situation. Whereas like now I'm not gonna take 3 turns to set up. You're already taking 2 prizes with the mask, whatever it's called, and then they're already behind. So it's with the Wellspring, it's just tough.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was going to touch on not Terra Box, but Raging Bolt, right? I've seen a few different lists. Are we playing the 2 Baby Pokemon, the Raging Bolt, and I forget the other one that it was playing. It was playing Baby Raging Bolt, and there was another baby. Maybe Giovanni might know because he plays more Raging Bolt than I do. For rotation on Raging Bolt, they're playing the Baby Raging Bolt, and then they're playing one other baby attacker, or they're throwing in Cornerstone even, and
I don't even remember because I'm like I don't even like those cards. Like,
gotcha.
I'm like I'm just gonna play Slitherwing. I think Slitherwing is like the best. One fighter in Bolt.
Yeah.
That's
So
I
think people were doing the Raging Bolt for the bench snipe. I thought I had it right next to me, but I don't.
I think it has to be the Slitherwing because then if you go up against Terrabox, you're not missing out on prizes versus the Pikachu.
Right.
And
you need
one
Pikachu.
Yeah.
The burn KOs it during checkup after its ability stops it from getting overgrowth. So you need Slitherwing to get through Pikachu, and that's gonna be the main thing for every deck. Do I have an answer to Pikachu, and do I have a reliable way of finding my answer to get through Pikachu? Because if you don't, you're just gonna lose the prize trade to Terrabox.
Gotcha.
And then also too, it like KOs like Fez,
Yeah.
Blood Moon if they throw that in.
I think
true.
the Baby Raging Bolt is kind of capped. I don't think it really does enough because like the damage output it has isn't really hitting that much. I mean, you can knock out a Hoo-Hoo, I guess.
And you have to
Pretty
commit so
easily.
much. Just like
Yeah.
all those energy on your board for like a really low attack is just
Right.
Yeah. I think it's kind of capped. I would just play the Slitherwing.
That's what I was thinking earlier. I was listening to a podcast driving home today, and they were talking about the Baby Raging Bolt. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I think the Slitherwing's just tried and true. It's always proved that it works. So
How do you feel about the Belly Bolt builds?
I'm not a fan of the Iono engine. I think it's just not. It's not. I don't think it's good enough. It's cool, but I just don't think it's going to be consistent enough. I think I would rather just run the Noctowl, and even it's just like right now Raging Bolt. Even though it's like you can't even say it's proven because in post rotation nothing's proven. But I feel like Raging Bolt is like the deck that doesn't lose too much going into post rotation, so it should just be able to mimic a lot of what it did pre rotation. The one thing I can see it struggling with is getting the energy discarded so you can draw a Sada because you don't have Radiant Greninja or Pokestop to hope you just discard one off stop either. So it just feels like you're gonna have to run quad Ultra Ball, quad Earthen, and hope that you get the combination of both of them. And so that's the one thing that can maybe.
Crispin,
I mean,
too, right?
Crispin. Yeah, you definitely have to play Crispin. So if you hit the Crispin, then cool. But like, it's gonna be pretty tough. I don't know because most lists are looking at like they're running maybe like 2 Crispin.
yeah.
So like the odds of you having an opening Crispin aren't that high. You're probably more likely to have an opening Sada. So
Right.
I don't know. And then also, but Crispin's not drawing you cards too. So it feels like if you're using Crispin, you're not using it to get like fighting, and grass and being able to teal dance. You're probably getting fighting and electric unless you have the vessel too. But I mean, doesn't seem like it's too bad. But if your hand isn't doing too well and you have to play Crispin and you're not drawing cards, it could be pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think Crispin's just like if I don't have Sada, I guess I'll use this card.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a
They were giving me
locked.
They were giving me shit for playing 3 Crispin in my deck.
Nah,
But I was
buddy, you were
cooking
playing
them, man.
4.
Dude, he was overcooked, man. He was overcooked.
Force cap. That's way too many.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, we were talking about playing it in this format, right? Because locally it kind of shook out to where it looked like it was a good play into a cup, and so we were all talking about it, and he's like, oh, I play a lot of Crispin in mine, and we're like, how many? And he was like, 4, and we all just were like, there ain't no way.
4, bro.
Or 3, whatever.
Whatever it was.
It was way too many.
He's good, bro.
But you got my boy Shook.
Yeah, man. I was like, there ain't no way I'm running more than 2
You know what?
Crispin.
The cup in Hanford that I just went to, Crispin saved my game, bro. Like, we went into sudden death. It was against the Dragapult, and he blew up just to get the sudden death play. And then, first turn, I couldn't find the Sada, but I found the Crispin. I'm just saying.
Hey man,
Just saying.
we're not saying it's completely bad. You just don't need 4.
Yeah.
Four
Yeah,
is
you don't
like-
need 4. You definitely don't need 4.
3 is still like 3 to
So-
me is still too many, but
No, I ran
been
2 in that build. I ran 2,
I've been
and then
on,
I think I ran an Iono.
I've been on the Zard. So I think I'm like I like Zard too much, but I've seen some lists over in Japan, like with the Zard that has the Wellspring in it. I don't think it's bad because it's still running the Noctowl engine, and you can still get the Wellspring out turn 1, and then late game you still have Zard. How do you feel about that?
I think it's a little. I don't know. I know a lot of people. I was listening to like I can't remember if it was like Azul's podcast or something, but it was something funny where they're just like, yeah, at this point we've reached the cycle of testing where everyone's like, let's just throw Charizard in it. And like, and Terra Box does seem like the one deck that it's okay. Like, hey, it's not the worst thing to throw Charizard in it, but Terra Box is just so dominant because it can be so aggressive so quick because you don't need to evolve. You can like have an all single prize board and then just go into your 2-prizer and stuff like that. So, I mean, if I'm gonna play Charizard, it's probably Terrapico's Charizard. That's been the list that I've tested out a decent amount of too. It's fine. It actually does have a pretty decent Terra Box matchup as long as you can like survive the first turn without getting like double manned or like sniped. But even then, if you get like a turn 1 Terrapagos down with a single energy attached, you're kind of okay because you can still Oko like their Ogre Pawn while just like recovering and setting up Zard on the bench.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely. I think the Zard Terrapagos. If you're thinking about playing Zard, I would probably be cooking up that and just testing that.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still I'm gonna build I'm trying to get my daughter to get back into playing. She stopped playing as heavily when last rotation because she was playing Chin Pao Palkia and like totally running her age group in locals, and then rotation happened and she just was like, I don't want to learn new cards. Like I love this deck, So now I'm trying to like get her to come back. So there's a Charizard list that I sent Nikki that plays like the Chi-Yu. And it plays a 4-2-2 line, and I think like maybe that's friendly enough for someone getting in or someone that just wants to pick up Charizard because of the power level that Charizard can bring.
It's just tough because that deck's reliant so much on rare candy, and then you just lose the Badoo.
Right. Well, that's why it plays a 4-2-2, right?
Yeah, 4-2-2 is fine, but it's also like the only deck that seems to be running Badoo post format is Dragapult, and Dragapult just seems so bad for Atlanta. If you're testing for Atlanta, I feel like Dragapult's just a bad choice. Like,
or everyone show up that way. Drake and Wellspring you turn 2.
Yeah, I'm just gonna Wellspring you, and then if you get to your Pult, I'm just gonna Clefairy you, so it's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know, dude. Better yet, I'm gonna like put down Clefairy and use Mew EX to copy your Dragapult. And I'm gonna take a 3-prize turn. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna show you why you shouldn't have played it.
Yeah, I definitely think like I know that Tord and crew when they went over for the city, was it the championship or whatever in
Champions League?
Yeah, Champions League. They said that Tord was testing a Pult list that seems like close to a 50-50 on Wellspring, but against the Terra Box, but the only difference is because it plays the stamp. The only reason it's 50-50 is if they stamp you after you take a knockout, sometimes they can't recover if they don't have their knocked out set up, right? Like the hoots on bench and everything. So I don't know. That's the only thing I could see really being tough for a Terra Box player playing a Dragapult. It's like if you dead draw, but if you dead draw, you dead draw. That doesn't matter what you're playing, right? So
right. Yeah, I just don't know because if you're not taking if they have a Fez down, then which they should because if you're Dragapult, you're not running a stadium bump. It's probably just the slow Pult list, and I'm pretty sure they don't have a stadium bump, or they maybe have one, or they may have one artisan maybe, and like you're running 3 area 0. Like you're gonna win the stadium war, and you're almost gonna always have the space to put the Fez down. So there's almost no reason to. And with so many like threats on your board, it's probably not like very good for a Charizard. For a Dragapult to like try to target down your Fez, because you're almost always gonna have like the Clefairy in the active or something that's threatening. That if they don't take care of it, then you're just gonna swing with it again and win. So I'm not sure how like good the stamp can really be. Plus with no crystal, you're just way too slow, and that's gonna allow Terra Box. So unless they're like running Rabska, which I still don't even think that's really good either. It's still too slow because then they can just like I don't remember how much HP Rabska is, but I
think it's 110. It might be 110.
So it can't. Yeah, so it can't get fan rotomed. So it can still get.
Well, the baby Rabska. Wait, it's 70. Yeah, this one. Wait, let me see if it'll. Oh God, it won't do it.
Yeah, it's 70. Yeah.
Well, So it's Relor. The actual Rapska 70.
The actual Rabska 70.
Yeah, so you can just like Gust KO it with Rotom. Like,
Yeah.
you could throw a one prizer up in the active and KO. So I just like I don't know, it doesn't seem that great.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for Atlanta. I mean, I won't be going, but I'll be rooting you on from afar. I'm excited to see how the meta shakes out because I do feel like Journey Together as a whole, it turned out to be like a complementary set more than like a complete shakeup, right? It's just complementing current decks in the meta. So
Yeah, it kind of sucks because we were expecting to have like the Ends deck and like the Iono deck be like
They're just so mediocre.
they're just so bad, man. The Pokemon kind of dropped the ball. I think they were just too rushed on getting all of the trainers, all of their decks. So they could have easily made the trainers cards like 3 to 4 sets deep.
Oh,
And just
100%.
giving us more. Give us just 2 trainers per set, be fine. Give me like a full Ends and Ionos like, deck in like two like one set. Then go to your like Stevens and your Marnies, and then go to your Team Rocket and Cynthia, and then whatever else. They could have done that with it across 4 sets, and it would have been fine. And like they would have it lets their gimmick last longer too. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
The
think
decks
they
just seem very mid.
Yeah, I think they could have even went further than that. I think they could have done like generation 1 through 3, picked out like 1 or 2 trainers from each generation, or, each generation, and then moved to the next 2 or 3 generations and snowballed. They could have made it a year-long thing, and it would have felt fresh every time.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah, I think they really dropped the ball on the trainers cards though, for sure. I mean, the only trainers decks I've seen so far that seem to have like legs to them are like Cynthia's and then Team Rocket. Like those are the only 2 that we've seen that seem to have.
Team
like,
Rocket's gonna be so broken, bro.
Yeah, I like people. Some people are like dooming and glooming it. Some are just saying, "Oh, it's not gonna be good." I'm like, bro, you guys are tripping. I don't know what cards you guys are reading. The cards I'm reading are so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I seen your tweet earlier today. Like the genome hacking on the Mimikyu is crazy work, bro. One energy and then a basic Pokemon can copy any of your attacks is tough, man.
yeah,
And then even if like people were like Jake Gearhart was pointing at that, there might be a slight shift in the lettering compared to genome hacking's words. But I mean, it could just be a font differentiation. First of all, but even if it's only like it can only copy EX, or if it can only copy basics, or it can only copy Terra, even if it's only one of those 3, that's still an insane like supplemental attacker that you can have in the Team Rockets deck that can counter something. Because even if it's just Terra types, I can still copy Dragapult
right.
with a basic.
Or Wellspring, or whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many variants there. Yeah,
And if it's Terra or EX, then same thing. I can copy Wellspring. I can copy Cornerstone. Like,
yeah.
I mean, being able to attack as a single prizer or a single prizer with 1 energy is just tough, bro. It's really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a Mewtwo fan. That's my favorite Pokemon. So like, I'm gonna go broke either way. So at least I'll have a deck to play while doing it. So that's nice. But I do think it is a little bit overpowered. But I mean, traditionally Mewtwo decks pretty much are, right. Like, kind of.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah, kind of the way it works. So
Except the Terra Mewtwo for some reason.
yeah, that one was bad.
I mean, Mewtwo V and V-Star weren't good either, though.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, that's true.
Those are
That's
pretty
true.
mid, too.
Well, that was a Pokemon Go set though too. Like, let's be real. What do we get from that? We got
We got Radiant Charizard, bro, and Pokestop.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, other than that, like the V's and V stars in that set were not anything to rave about.
It was the box Pokemon too.
Yeah,
like he sucked.
yeah, it was tragedy. But
Pokestop
I still
might be like hand in hand with the best stadium ever printed. Like it's either that or Unbroken Time Space, for sure.
I
yeah,
wasn't around for Broken Time Space. I bet based on the text I've seen is pretty good.
Just Grand
Pretty-
Tree, but infinitely.
Infinitely Grand Tree is pretty insane.
yeah, it's crazy. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to what's to come. I do think that they might, like you said, might have rushed things. I think they were trying to get into the megas before or right at when the game released, and I think that's what kind of hindered a lot of this. It's like we got to rush game design because we have other things co-aligning with it, which kind of sucks for us as TCG players. We
wanted to align with like Legends EA, so that kind of did rush things. But I mean, I don't know. It kind of sucks though, because I was looking forward to like the ends deck being cool because I wasn't around for trade Zoroark before, and I saw how like key that deck, how key that card was. So, but I still have hope that like probably the end Zoroark engine itself will probably find its way into some sort of deck within the next year or two
I
that
mean,
is legal.
trade's
It's
good.
definitely. I mean, yeah, the ability. I mean, it's refined, like refinement, trade. Like it's always been a good ability throughout the history of Pokemon, right?
Yep.
Discard one, draw two is just broken.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, I think it will. Just for a draw engine, I think you're right. I think it'll stick around or, be put in something. Something will be paired with it. I just think
Wish it was a better attacker for the deck. Like,
What if they
having
put
to,
them in bold? Like in place of Greninja.
it just sucks.
I
like
mean,
you already
I don't know.
you gotta evolve.
You
Yeah.
have to commit to an
Yeah.
evolution in that deck is just tough.
Yeah.
I think though, I don't think coming to the evolution is the part that sucks for that. I think it's the part that it's a 2 retreat cost Pokemon.
Oh, true that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a 2 retreat stage 1. If it was a 2 retreat, basic wouldn't matter because you have Latias. But because it's a stage 1 2 retreat, it just seems like too much of a liability for something like Raging Bolt.
Well, that and how much Wellspring's around, right? Because you just like if you can't attack with it, then they just saw block you,
Right.
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
Like that's detrimental in itself. You just saw block someone until they deck out. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
So I had this idea a couple weeks ago. I doubt they'll do it, but it'd be cool and probably broken if they released a card for like each trainer that was an item card that made whatever item this card was attached to that Pokemon trainer's Pokemon. So like In would have an item card where you can attach it to like Charizard EX and it becomes like In's Charizard EX. So then now Zoroark could use Charizard's attack. Like that would be cool. I doubt they'll do it.
yeah, I feel like that'd be broken.
Too
Yeah.
broken.
Run 4 of those,
Yeah.
man. You just like infinite attack with whatever you want.
That's,
I don't know.
things like that are like really cool like ideas because like when I first saw the Terra Pokemon gimmick released for the video game, I'm like, bro, sick. I can't wait for this to come to the card game. Like, what would be insane is like, dude, they give us like we get how many different types are there? Like 8. We get like 8 different tool cards into the types hats, and we can just attach them as a tool to our Pokemon to change the Pokemon's type, or not change its type, but add its type as like an attack or something. Or even if it's like if it became almost like how the TMs are, where like that attack had like a double colorless or triple colorless attack cost, but it hit for like that type, so we can like mess with weaknesses, and it would
Yeah.
make the game a lot more complex.
Right.
And we got nothing near that. We got bench barrier on Terra type Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like you guys
Yeah.
you guys just sack. Like get people they gotta get more players input on this game. I feel like because like I hear people's ideas and they're like I was like that'd be insane gameplay. Like if I could change the type of my Pokemon in the game, like everybody's teching for Charizard EX and they're playing grass type techers, cool. I'm just gonna throw this crown on my Charizard and make it, like what if you're playing grass, I'm gonna make it a fire type.
Yeah, they could have done so much with those like Terra abilities. They made it so basic and like low key lame. Like just you
Yeah,
can't
they-
attack me on the bench.
Yeah, they dropped the ball on that gimmick too.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's, but, well, with that being said, so like we touched a little bit on Atlanta, the meta, a little bit about new players getting into it. I do think that that's like grounds for conversation. I know you had mentioned, you showed up with a battle V deck. I showed up with a league battle deck, the Urshifu VMAX deck, right? I bought that, so like a step above what you showed up with, but I felt your pain. You know what I mean? When you said that, I was like, oh, I've been there, right? So
Pokemon made their like battle decks a lot better now for people to buy a deck and start playing. They're still not like fully competitive, but way more than like the Venusaur deck I had as an option.
right. So I mean,
Our theme deck is crazy.
yeah, that Venusaur theme deck is insane. So with that being said, though, like, what would if you could give one piece of advice to a player getting into the card game? Maybe they, maybe Prismatic Evolutions brought them back into the scene, and they collect evolutions or whatever the case may be. Like, but they're looking at these cards and saying, I want to do something with my extra cards. What would your one piece of advice be for a new player coming in?
Just play. I know everybody wants to focus on like winning, and they want to focus on teching and trying to like just be the best, but no one's gonna be the best off the gate. I think that's kind of one of the hardest things I've had to deal with these first couple seasons. Is I had it like my first couple years have been really good, but I still haven't like I've gotten top 16 has been like my pinnacle so far, and I haven't been able to top 8, let alone win a major. And I mean, even like someone like Isaiah Bradner, we just saw him win his first major, and he's been playing for years and just been made it, to top 8s and even to the finals. Like
yeah.
this was his 5th time, and he finally won. So it's like, it's not easy to win a major. It's not easy to win 8 to 9 rounds. It's not easy to win even just the 6 or 5 you need to get to day 2 in those 8 to 9 rounds. Like winning right now is the hardest it's ever been in the Pokemon TCG. So that shouldn't really be at the forefront of your mind, because you're just gonna like you're gonna set yourself up for failure or letdown. Failing's okay, but like you don't want to just deflate yourself and then like not have fun anymore because you didn't reach the high expectations you set for yourself. High expectations are fine, but initially if you're just getting to it, winning shouldn't be it. Just play the game, absorb as much as you can from. There's so much content out there. Zach Lesage, Gabe Smart, Rahul Reddy, all these guys, top players, make so much good content.
That's free.
I stream stuff like that. Azul streams. He literally talks people through plays on his stream. I do the same thing to remind you. Like, this is all free content you can inhale, as well as just playing, because you're not gonna get better unless you play the game.
For sure.
So don't focus on your results. Don't focus on like trying to win every match. You just focus on playing the game
and getting better.
And getting better. And it sounds corny, but you gotta have fun, because if you're not having fun, you're gonna burn out, and then you might just drop the game permanently. And I hate that for anybody. Yeah. Like I love seeing all the people that I've connected with, all you guys like I've met through this game, because we all love Pokemon, we love playing, and it's like losing your love for that would really suck. And that's kind of like something I dealt with football, where like I focused too much on like I wanted to go pro, I wanted to be like the best, and then there's all kinds of stuff that like comes with it that's not part of just playing football that ruined it.
Kind of like sucks the life out of it, right?
Yeah, and so like the same thing that can come to it with Pokemon. Just play the game, have fun. It sounds as corny as it sounds. You need to have fun.
For sure. I think that's something like Giovanni struggled with. Like he'd come to me like every week, like, man, like I go to all these cups, I'm just not winning, and it's like it happens, bro. Like even these top players will go to a cup, go 0-2 drop. Like it's not uncommon. Like you just have to continue to play the game, and then you'll see the point in time where it's like, okay, like I finally put all this work in, and it's finally paying off. Yep. I think that's the best part about Pokemon. Yeah, for sure. Just keep playing. Play the game.
Just keep playing.
Because I play this game probably more than I play it the most in Bakersfield for sure. Like hands down, like I play this game because I have the time. Like I literally play every single day. Go to every single local. Like I'm playing, bro. Like But
I think Dre, I talked to you at a cup once here in Bakersfield. I think is when it was. It was either Bakersfield or it was Hanford. And we were talking about an upcoming regional. I was asking if you were going, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm going." And we were chit chatting, and I said, "Yeah, I think I'm gonna go." I forget what regional it was. It was one of the California regionals, and I was like, "But I have a really low expectation." You kind of looked at me and you're like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Well, I've been working so much, like I haven't really played. I'm gonna pick up a deck and just hope that I do well. I'm going for the fun of it. I have no expectation because I probably won't day 2 because I haven't done a single I haven't even tested for this event." And you looked at me and your words were, "That's what makes you different than most people." And I kind of looked at you for a second, and then it set in, and you're like, "At least you know that." Because a lot of people, they set this like, I have to make a day 2, right? Like I have to make a day 2. But then they don't put the work in, or they can't, because life is life and life happens, and then they're bombshelled when they get there and they don't do well, right? And like I think that's one thing that I'll always remember from our conversation at that cup is just like, hey, if I have to have a bar of expectation to the reality of what I've actually put in. If I haven't grinded games, or if I don't know a meta, or I don't know how to predict a meta well enough yet, I'm just going to show up and play, and whatever happens, happens, right? So I think that is something too that like my experience talking with you throughout, just seeing you in in the local scene is like, that's something that most people probably don't know or haven't heard from someone like yourself. Is like, hey, set your bar of expectation to a reality that you actually can hit, you know? So,
And I think
It's
hanging out
actually
with you
real.
guys like is like helping me like as a new player. Like I'm starting to understand that now. Like I started the game to play and have fun, and then I got like super obsessed with it, and I was like, I need to win. But now I'm like in a place where I'm like, you know what? Like let's just go play. Whatever happens, happens. You know, I'm here to have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, just like take a step back, understand that you're not the best player in the world, and
Yeah,
just play the
exactly.
game and have fun. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like I
How
said,
long did it
I
take
was
you to get
super
to
real.
that spot?
For where I'm at,
Yeah.
so I always just tell people that I don't like to use myself as a like frame of reference. I'm an anomaly for sure. Um, I was able to show up to my first regional ever after playing the game for like 3 months, maybe. I can't remember exactly how long, but not very long. I got a top 60 day two, my first one, top 60 forward. And then I like I just chained those and finished that my first season with a top 16. That's not typical. I will say that like I lost hours of sleep. I I played so much. I didn't do anything else. I didn't go out. I wasn't having fun with anybody that I was close with at the time because I was just so locked in, staying up for hours, and just like grinding. And like I don't regret it because it definitely led to the success I had, and I'm thankful for all the experiences I've gotten because of it. But I also have like it was a combination of like I had a lot of prep that I put in. I also had a lot of background in something else that drastically helped me, gave me a leg up on almost competition, and then I mixed that with I got pretty lucky. I had lucky runs. Like you have to have a little of that too when you're playing in these tournaments. You have to hit the right matchups and stuff like that. I built my Mew deck to body the Reggies, which was a popular deck I knew going into that format. And I played 3 Lost City and I didn't lose to a single Reggies the entire
So funny.
weekend. And then I played double Meloetta and Thornton so I could body anybody trying to like cheese me with Drapion because I could Meloetta and then I go into a UV Max and they try to Drapion it and then I just turn a Genesect into a Meloetta because you Alessa Sparkle, so you'd put one on Meloetta, usually probably one on a Genesect, attach to Meloetta, and then I can have the second one there for Meloetta. Or on the
Right.
Genesect that I thrown into a Meloetta, and I have another single prize that I just attacked with.
God, I miss that
Yeah, I
deck.
threw off the prize. So like there was just like things like that I played a tech card nobody really thought of, and I mean there was a string of luck too. So
Yeah.
I don't like to use that. So my first season is not the norm, but like what I will say is like even now this is my third season and I haven't made a day two this season. I mean I have almost 600 points because I maxed out my locals. I got a top 64 at a special event this season, which helped me. I mean, I could make I do point to like LAIC and that same special event I went to. I I would have made day two under the current rules. It's just that the first like what 3 months of this new season they had like a whole extra like 3 or 2 points that you had to make day two, and so
Yeah.
that kind of messed up my day two conversion too. But um, I knew what I needed to do during those tournaments, and I still didn't accomplish it. I didn't make the day two. I knew what the threshold was, and it's difficult. It's going to be not every tournament is guaranteed. There's plenty of top players that go and they just completely bomb. It happens. I've had bad tournaments where I've just dropped. So I don't think you can really use the time reference because it's possible to win really quickly, but it's also no, it's possible. There's players I know that are really really good at this game that have been playing 10 years or
Crazy.
more, and they've told me they're like, I haven't even made a day two, bro. Like I'm over
Yeah.
here complaining like, bro, I still haven't even top eight, and they're like, bro, I've never even made day two.
Right.
Like, shut up. I'm like, yo, bro, my bad. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So I don't. I think that it's we put way too much on ourselves as players, trying to compare ourselves to others when we don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, until you're in this game and have been like you've been in the game long enough, like long as like Azul and Tord, but also you have to realize the commitment that those guys put into this game. So if you've been playing that long and being that committed and still haven't gotten the results that you've wanted, sure, I can understand it. But if you haven't, like, you just need to take a step back, exhale, make sure this game, reassess your goals and what you want out of this game, and go from there.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, and I think I mean, I'm gonna bring up Gazer in this episode, but he said it best the other day. Like, iron sharpens iron, right? So like, find someone that's better than you at your local scene and start playing games against them, because that'll make you a better. You'll lose probably 90% of them, right? But it'll make you a better player, because you're gonna see how a better player plays. And then, like, also someone like yourself, I mean, if you're at the point where now you understand the game, you understand the fundamentals, and maybe you're on the brink, like you're always like close to that day 2 mark, and that's your goal, then look to someone like Dre for coaching, right? Like that could help, because just that different mindset, the different outlook could really help you focus on something maybe you're missing in your game, like whether it's sequencing or just prioritizing a setup turn versus an attacking turn, or whatever it may be. Like, those are easy things to overlook that someone like yourself, like again, going back to your reference earlier, like, you're going to see that just by the amount you're playing and and coaching already. So I definitely think that's a good point too.
And I can definitely like second that. Like, I think coaching, if you're at a point where like you think you've hit like your peak and you're still not winning, like, I think getting a perspective on someone else's like look at the game is like super important. Like, when I first got into Pokemon, I mean, competitively, I never thought coaching or like watching or paying for somebody to like play the game for me was like important until like Dre. Like, I got Dre's Charizard like class, right? And I was competing the whole year trying to win a cup, and I could never win. I was always in top 8, doing the blah 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 blah. And I watched that video, and I watched the whole thing, and like 3 weeks later, with Charizard, won a cup in Ventura. And it's like just that little step of like somebody else's perspective on the game could help in the long run.
Yeah, I remember after he paid for that, he told me, we were talking about it, and after you won the cup, because I was like, oh man, you finally, like, we were talking. He was like, Nikki was like, yeah, there were subtle differences that I never thought about that you talked about in your masterclass, right? And it was just the little things, and it's just that second opinion, second outlook. Like, when you play as much as someone like yourself, like, you notice little things that a casual player, an average player, is not going to notice right away. It's going to take them a lot more time. So I agree. I can second what Nikki said. Like, I used to be like, oh, why would I pay for this? Why would I pay for someone's, for coaching or anything? But now I'm a firm believer as well. Like, that the money, like, if that's your goal and you have the expendable income, then do it. If you don't, I mean, going back to earlier, there's still so much free content. Like, regardless, there's so much free content. You look up any deck you want to learn on YouTube, you're gonna find it. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Except for when you play Miraidon when nobody likes Miraidon, because that's how I started.
You got Jesse Parker for that, bro. You're good.
Yeah.
That was later though. That was later. I was like, damn.
That's true.
Yeah, when Giovanni started, he was a Miraidon gamer when it wasn't popular, and we were all like, "What are you doing, dude? Like, no, put it down." It was like Charizard peak, and he's playing Miraidon,
Yeah.
You just gotta wait for a top player to crack it. It's all it is, man. It's all good. It's all good. You were just ahead of the curve. You just didn't have the deck building. Yeah, but you knew the archetype had potential. That's all it is. You were right.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that.
Hey, so one thing I want to talk about, because I know this is important for I mean, I don't know about important, but it's definitely happened to you, Dre. So I know for a long time you were never on stream, and that's like one of my big goals, is to make it on stream. And do you really think it had something to do with your tattoos? Like, I know that was like a huge thing, because Giovanni's the same way, right? So Giovanni has a lot of tattoos, and I want to know your perspective on it. Like, do you really think Pokemon looks out for stuff like that? I mean, obviously you're a well-known player.
So I don't want to put it on Pokemon completely. I never thought of that as being a reason at first, because I'd seen, there's been a couple of times where people have been on stream and they have decent amount of tattoos, people showing, them showing them. I mean, I know, like, Mahone, he had to wear like the thing because his tattoos.
Yeah.
So
Misty.
His Misty. That's a little too hot for a Pokemon stream. But yeah, I didn't think about it initially, but then like I was in constant positions
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say you were
like
always in that position where it made sense for you to be on stream.
yeah, like starting like 5-0, 4-0, 6-0, or being on like winning ins, and I'm playing against top players like Lee Bowie, Nathan Stratford. I've played against a ton of like Trevor Reed. I'm pretty sure I played against him if I'm not mistaken. I played Blake Ray before he was even on Shuff, but he was like a player that was on the rise and stuff. I played against Cal when I was like at 4-0 at like Orlando. So like, there was plenty of times that I'm just like, bro, why am I not getting picked? I'm playing against top opponents. At this point, I'm a decently known name in the community. And then somebody that kind of had like pretty like good ties to the people running the show from the back, they're like, yeah, they're kind of like shadow banning the whole like face tat, like your whole
Crazy.
like your whole like get down, because my braid, I had my hair braided, and all that too. So that's when I was like, you know what, that's kind of crap if it's true. And so I put the tweet out, and it got a lot of attention. I had a lot of like the people that like casted, and like even like some kind of higher ups from Pokemon DM me like, hey, like this is not cool. Where like it's not, if this is something that is happening, we don't have like a ban list, or I mean, we don't have a ban list for those reasons on
Yeah.
anybody, so if we can, if the opportunity, we're going to make it a priority to get you
Yeah, because
on the stream.
I think it was like right after that tweet or like shortly after. It was LA, right? It was LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's wild,
it,
bro.
didn't- it
It's
didn't
so
take long
wild.
after it didn't take long after that for me to get on, and I feel like it's it's a really good relief, personally, but also just like there's so many people in this community that like deserve to have the same platform or the same visibility. Like people like should see Giovanni at a tournament and not look twice. They'd be like, oh, that's just another cool guy,
Yeah, we all love
walking,
Pokemon.
that's
Yeah,
playing the card
exactly.
game. He has some sick artwork. Like you have a top player like Jose Marzon, like he's super tatted up, and so and he's been on stream a few times. So it's just great that like the visibility for the tattooed community is being represented, and hopefully that just invites more people that like look like us that want to play or feel a little bit more encouraged to come on and play. Because I mean, a lot of times I've heard like you don't look like you're playing, like you should be playing Pokemon, or that you would be playing. I'm just
Crazy.
like, that's kind of like, it's kind of messed up. Like, because what is somebody that plays Pokemon supposed to
Supposed to
look
look
like?
like, right, bro.
So, and so like hearing that, it does like hurt a little bit, because also another big thing that I dealt with when I first started playing the game was like, this game is predominantly played by Caucasian
For
kids
sure.
that either expendable income or that support from family, like a lot. Like especially when I first got in, that was like the big bulk of like all the top players were the people that fell under that kind of umbrella, that like, hey, they have mom and dad money, or they just have really good money themselves, and they're just like, those.
Hitting every event possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was mostly those like Caucasian players, and it's just like, and I felt like out of place because of it. And then I would hear like whisperings amongst other, because there's a lot of toxicity among like the top player groups, testing groups, that a lot of like casual players don't really get to see as much. And I'm not for the internet stuff too much, so like, or like I'm not too much for like the like silent like passive aggressiveness. When I hear something, or if I, even worse, like when I get a screenshot and I see something, like I'm gonna bring attention to it. I'm gonna like let you know that I know, because I'd rather just do that than like pretend that we're all cool, 'cause that's just not
Yeah.
me.
Right.
Like I said
Right.
to you, I keep things real. It doesn't matter. That's how I was before I played Pokemon. If there was a problem,
Yeah.
I press it, and so that doesn't change now because I play a card game. I'm
Yeah.
not. People do forget that a lot of us are grown men, and
For
especially
sure.
from different backgrounds. So that's another thing that it's just been odd to deal with. It's just that kind of stuff. So the tattooed community, the colored community, just all of us like being able to feel seen is the main thing. I'm like glad that me being put on stream has kind of opened up, because I've had a lot of people tell me like, saw you on stream, it was so cool. Even when I played in LA, I didn't have my braids done, so I wore a do rag, and they were like, yo, he's got the do-rag on on the streams, like, so like that's and they're like, yeah, that's so hype. So just being able to bring that kind of representation was really awesome. And then I've seen, like I said, I've seen plenty of other tattooed players just like getting to be on stream and stuff like that, and we've gotten more colored representation, and it's just really awesome to see. So I feel like no matter what it was, even if it was like my tattoos, I'm glad I said something that got so much attention that resulted in me getting on stream, that domino affected into where we are now, where it's like, now if we were to say that if that was like something that I would have said, like, bro, I haven't been on stream my entire career, and somebody told me it's because my tattoos, I think at this point people would be even more pissed than they were when I first did that tweet.
Oh yeah,
right.
So like,
Yeah,
just because of how much we've progressed as a community. So I'm just really glad to.
The game has grown so much. I mean, since COVID, right? The game has grown tremendously. And I think for people to even have like an opinion about somebody, like, the way they look is just so like off to me. Like, everyone's here for one thing.
General, we all, right? Like,
yeah, we all love Pokemon.
You know?
Yeah, we all love Pokemon. There's just no reason for that. And I feel like no matter how, like how you look, like maybe the way you portray yourself, right? But the way you look, it's like that should not be a part of anyone's conversation.
Right.
Yep, 100%. And I think that's in the community and outside the community, right? Like in my field of work, it's like a quote unquote like man's world, right? So like I bring up, they're like, oh, what'd you do this week? And I'm like, oh, I'm a nerd, I went and played Pokemon. And they just kind of look at me weird. Like it's almost like the black sheep of the industry sometimes, you know? It's like, come on guys, like we're adults, like let's be adults about the situation, you know? I don't know. I
also wanted to say, like, I thought it was pretty cool, like when me and you first met, you went down to a cup or something like that, and you like, as soon as like we like were in each other's area, you're like, like gave me like props for my tattoos. You're like, hell yeah, we need more tatted Pokemon players. So I thought that was cool. I was like, it's my guy right there. Like,
yeah, man, because like I love seeing it. Like it's what we like. When I see people that like look like you, we have similar kind of appearance as far as like how tattooed we are. So it's like, like now it's like I'm not the only one here now. It's like that's great for the game too. It's like, because it's community. That's what we're here for. Like, we love all the people that we get to meet because of one thing. So if there's even more things that we like connect to, like our things that we like tattoos, I mean, obviously. So we like Pokemon, we like tattoos. So like that's a cool thing that I can like bond with you about, like stuff like that. So it's definitely like something that helps expand the community and just like helps create like long-term like relationships. And that's what I'm here for, man. I'm like, I want to, like, it's hard making friends as adults, and so that's what this does, is like help us like have like
100%,
develop those relationships without it being awkward, without it having to be like, oh, like your girlfriend's friends boyfriend friend. Like,
I remember like right after like right out of high school, like all my high school friends, we kind of just like did our own thing, and I had one or two really solid friends, and that's all it was for like a couple years until I got back into Pokemon. And now like I have so many friends that just relate to Pokemon. It's like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think that ties into, I was gonna bring up it maybe when you guys were talking, made me remember the tweet. Somebody had taken a picture of you playing, and you were like locked in, right? And like you had your locked in game face on, right? And I remember seeing that, and I remember kind of like chuckling to it, because the first time that I actually met you was right after you had left a match, and you still kind of had like a locked in, like you were still processing like what happened in your match, right? And came up and said what's up and kind of introduced myself, and I think that's something that like most people like hesitate to do to a pro player like yourself, right? But like you just embraced it. You're like, hey dude, what's up? Like we had a full conversation, like nothing ever, like we were just friends for years. Like it was just like an easy flown conversation. And I do think that's something about a lot of the pro players. I'm not gonna say all of them, because some of them do kind of keep reserved, but a lot of them, like, you guys just like, you're just another person in the community, and you're just like, hey, you want to come up and say hi, you want to ask questions, you want to hang out, like whatever, just like we talked with Pokeduels last week about this, just like read the room a little bit, right? Like if I just came off a tough loss or something and I'm not feeling it, like give me my space. But like I would say 98% of the time, like the pro player base is just another person in the community, and they have no care in the world if you come up and you introduce yourself, you say what's up, you talk with them, like, you know, and maybe vouch on that a little bit or speak to it. I know that when people see you across the room, you do have that locked in face. It can be intimidating, but like, I'll be the first person to say, like, you're one of the easiest people to talk to in person, you know?
For sure.
Shout out to Yone. She's the one that took that picture. It was so funny. Yeah. I never realized how intimidating I look when I play. Because as far as I know, that's just like I'm just watching, like I'm just focused. I'm not like trying to look scary by any means. So it's just really funny that that's my resting face, and I had no idea. But yeah, like I've always had like an open door kind of thing, where I've always told people, they tweet like, "Oh, I saw you, but I didn't have a chance because you were doing this and that, or you looked like you were busy." I'm just like, just come say hi, man. Like, obviously, like if I don't look like I'm doing anything too like serious, I'm just walking between rounds or something like that. Yeah, come say hi. Like, and yeah, most players, a lot of the top players, like they're fine with it. Like, if you just, hey, like, what's up? Give them a fist bump. Like, how are you? Like, we're people. Like, it feels good to be like, you know, associated with. And I promise you, a lot of these players, it feels good to them when they're recognized. So like you going saying like, hey, hello, I watched your content, I like your content, or I watched you play, you're so, you know, you inspire me, whatever it is. Like stuff like that definitely lifts like a lot of the top players too. They like to hear it. I guarantee like they're not going to be mad that you came and said that you inspired them or that you watched their stuff. I promise you, it's not. You know, once again, they obviously read the room. Like if you just saw bro lose like a winning in on stream or something like that, like don't go into right after that. But
Yeah, for
other
sure.
than that, like I'm sure like I can speak on a good amount of players, since I do have like in my immediate testing group are a lot of top players that are either also make content or just really well known, that like people come up to them all the time and they're like, they don't care. It's not like you come up and then we go back to our group like, oh my god, people won't leave me alone. It's never that.
Right.
It's never that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still like, regardless, I tell people come say what's up to me. I could be having like the worst tournament ever, but if you see me, you say what's up. I'm never ever gonna let something like a loss or a bad tournament run like make like to change how I act towards people. So even if I'm having a bad tournament run, if you see me and I'm just like not doing anything, I don't look busy, and you come say hi, that's I'm gonna chop it up back with you. Like I'm not gonna like shoot you off and stuff like that. I'm probably the most laid back guy to talk to at
No,
events.
100%. Like I think you, like after the first time we played, I was like, wow, this guy is super chill. Like regardless of anything, like, even after LA, like you in your winning in, you still lose. I went to go say congratulations, and you were still had a smile on your face. You were still like super talkative, you know, wanting to hear how we did, even after you know your situation. And it's like it's just super cool to see that. I'm like a top player, still being able to talk with you know anybody in the community.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, well, I do want to ask. We every time we have someone on that isn't from our town locally, right? I always ask, what is, and you kind of have a little bit of different experience because you lived in Fresno and now you live somewhere else, in Florida, right? It's Florida.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, local metas. I mean, shops, card shops in general, pricing, like. What does it look like out there? Because we know like Fresno's pretty good with pricing. They're pretty like the meta is pretty consistent to like traditional like actual regional metas. You know, they have locals all the time, so you know, and we kind of mirror that. I would say our pricing here locally is not as good, but it's close, right? What does that look like where you're at? If you've been, I don't know if you've even been to a lot of locals to be able to vouch on it, or just card shops in general there, but like, you know, just ask the question of like, what does that look like here versus there?
I mean, California, even just this last season, I didn't really focus too much on playing locally. I went and got like my stuff done as soon as I could. I mean, I won 2 cups in one weekend over there in Fresno. That took a big chunk of my finishes out. I went down like to SoCal with dude, why am I blanking? Oh, with Tyler, my teammate, and then I ended up running into Brandon Bond from like SF from the Bay Area, and he was down there too. And we were like, it's like 3 top players just showed up to like this random card shop, and everyone else was like didn't like knew who we were, and so
Come together.
I came with Tyler. I didn't even know Brandon was
Right.
showing up. Me and Tyler were the first ones there, and then Brandon shows up like literally 20 minutes after us. I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? And then we all just locked in Lugia. Like me and Tyler already knew we were like, yeah, we're just gonna play Lugia. It's pretty good right now. It's got like, a good, matchup into everything. And then Brandon, he's like notorious for playing Lugia. I'm like, bro, you're playing Lugia, right? He's like, yeah, I'm like, damn, like, well, I guess I'll see one of you guys in the finals. It's gonna be a Lugia mirror. And sure enough, I ended up facing him in the mirror. I won the coin toss, so I ended up winning the set. He scooped game one after like a pretty obvious like back and forth was going to mean I won. Game two, he got set up. It was pretty obvious that he was going to win, so I scooped. And then game three, turn one, he doesn't get a Lugia. He only gets one Lugia down, and I get double chops Gust his lone Lugia. He scoops. So it's like we finished final so quick because we're both like within 2-3 turns. We were like, yep, scoop. All right, cool, let's go back home. So I mean, it's like.
I think that's cool because like a top player can see that so far ahead. It's like, okay, I lost. Let's go next. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was Lugia too, so there's not much comeback.
Yeah.
Right, that's true. So
my
new
locals
player,
in
though, what would you
California
say?
wasn't like. Oh, what's up?
Go ahead. I was gonna say for a new player though, because I feel like that was my problem at my first regional, like the concept of the time, right? And I was like ahead in like I'd win the first game, and then the second time it would just drag the fuck out, you know what I mean? And like so like knowing when to scoop, like how do you determine that?
It's very difficult because it just depends on the deck you're playing. Because there are decks like Gardevoir that just like it seems like you're playing from behind intentionally, so there's always like a way to come back and win. So it's just really understanding your win cons and understanding like analyzing your prize map, your opponent's prize map, your board state, their board state, saying, okay, like, is there anything I do that would stop them from taking all 6 prize cards before I take all 6 of mine? No. Is there a way that I can stop them from taking all 6 prize cards and I can win via deck out? No. Like, you just have to find is there like really a realistic win con? And if not, then it's probably just best to scoop.
Yeah.
That's really the best way I can say is just being realistic, because too many people hold on like, well, I could still do this. It's a low odds, but it's like you shouldn't be doing that unless it's like game 3,
Right.
or it's like or you're about to be like eliminated. It's like winning in time or something like that. It's like if it's round 2 and it's like game 1, like it looks bad, to scoop it up. Like give yourself the better chance if you really have like a very low odd win con. But back to the California versus Florida though. California locals I really didn't get to see, because when I first was playing my first 2 seasons, the metas locally were kind of weird. Some people would be playing meta decks. Then you have people like Gazer thinking that they're playing something that's going to change the meta. I'm like, bro, that stuff's jank. It sucks. Why are you playing that deck? And then I just roll them in the cups and challenges. Like, okay, free win. So it's not. And then, no, I got to dunk on Gazer. No, but like the California meta definitely started to get a lot more competitive. And so people started playing less jank and more competitive decks. So I mean, the locals I've been to in Florida, haven't gone to too many, because like I said, I'm already capped on cups and my challenges are pretty much capped, so I haven't been really trying too hard to replace them. I have like one pro player, Jose Marrero, in this area. That's like the competition that I run into at these. But as far as like just the standard player base that's here, they like their control stuff a lot, which is kind of funny. But yeah, there's a decent amount of like janky stuff going on in the locals here in Florida.
Gotcha.
Well, in Tampa at least. I can't really speak on Miami or Orlando, but in Tampa where I'm at, there's like a good like split on like jank versus like meta relevant stuff. So I would say, as far as pricing goes, what I've seen, Florida's been like pretty on par to Tampa, I should say. I can't speak for all Florida, but Tampa's been on par to what I've seen in like Fresno. Stores being like very generous about what they hand out and stuff like that. Competitive wise, I definitely think that Tampa is pretty up there, because every challenge I've gone to has been like 30 players.
Oh shoot.
So like, because there's a lot of people out here. Tampa is just bigger than Fresno. It's big. It's more populous than Bakersfield. So like, I don't see the easy 10-person challenges like I used to get, every now and again in Fresno here and there. No, like every challenge here is like 25,
rounds.
25, 30 players each, 5, 6 rounds.
Yeah.
So, I think it's definitely more populous here. Populous doesn't always determine like difficulty, but I do have another pro player that's in my direct local scene, which does make difficulty go up a little bit. In like Fresno, we'd get pro players that would come down from
from the Bay Area and stuff.
Like Gabe Smart and like Michael Perez and stuff. Once in a while, like they would come down, and then we got Tyler that moved from my teammate, but like me and him like really we're teammates, so whenever we could help each other out in the tournament, we were more so working to help each other. Hey, how many finishes do you need? If we hit each other, I obviously like whatever. This is you, bro. Like, we were definitely a lot more like team centric in that aspect. I mean, if we played each other, we did play like as hard as we could, but it's like I don't even think we really hit in anything besides like one time. So like, yeah, I can't really speak to that. So it's like the people that I played in Fresno, I think overall the skill was getting a lot better as I was there too.
Yeah.
I want to say I had somewhat of a hand in that.
Well, yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, iron sharpens iron, right? Like if you're showing up and you're a good player, it forces people to play, better decks. I mean, my whole running joke here is like, if you're gonna play troll decks, I'm gonna play mill. Like, I'll make sure you stop playing troll decks. You know what I mean? Like, I will be the change I want to see. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true. I mean, Fresno did build a super team just to try to stop me from winning.
Then you left and Gazer won 2 cups, man. What's up with that?
I know, bro. I know. Hey,
I did my part, bro.
I did my part when I was there. You know what I'm saying? He never won a cup when I was there. And then I went, I showed up in one weekend and won back-to-back cups playing the same deck, the exact same 60. Everybody knew what my 60 was the very next day, and people even countered, and I still won the cup. So it's like, I did my part. I carried. Y'all slacking now that I left.
I lost 2 times that day, his first cup, to him. Lost in regular and in top 8.
Jeez, y'all over there in Cali letting me down.
To be fair to Nikki, so I showed up to that cup playing Archaladon as well. So Gazer was on Archaladon Dialga. I was on Archaladon. What was it? What it was? No Dialga. It was straight Arch, but I put in a Halucha, right? Because everyone's on Cloth. Everyone was like on Cloth, right? So like that deck's just before black belt, like it was hard to hit big numbers before black belt and Mochi. Like Mochi obviously helped that too, but like it was really hard to fix big numbers. So like Gazer showing up with that was like the perfect counter. I mean, I bubbled out at 9th. I lost to Daniel on my winning in to top 8. He was playing Cloth. I started Luminion and passed on my first turn. Like I was like, I can't set up. I can't play the game. It is what it is, But other than that, like that deck definitely was the play for that tournament because it was like Cloth wasn't hitting 300. There was
3 Cloths in top 8, man.
Yeah. So it was like, and then he was playing Dialga V-Star with the scramble switch. So like he was able to accelerate the energy,
That I win game 1. I win game 100%. Thornton's Dialga, Scramble Shit's Dialga V-Starred, take double KOs, and I was like, all right, bro, GG, you have him.
Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yeah.
So it was just like
y'all let him cook, bro. That's the thing. I wouldn't let him cook.
Yeah. So like in Nikki's defense, like that was the play for that tournament. Like I rolled up and I was debating. So I blame Nikki for me playing that deck too because we played. That was a weekend cup. We played at locals beforehand. We hit each other round 1, and I was like, I was on the fence on what I wanted to play that night. And we get paired, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to play Lugia because I don't know how to play it against Cloth. I want to see the matchup. And, like, I felt like every time I played something, he had a counter to it. And I was like, all right, I'm not playing this to the cup. Like, if the 90% of the room is going to be Lugia or Cloth, I'm not playing Lugia when I just don't feel confident. Like, you were able to have a counter no matter what I did. So yeah, I blame Nikki for me playing Archaladon, and it was a good play. But like,
Really good play.
I think that, you know, Gazer picked the right with the scramble switch and Dialga. I think that was the better list for that event. So, but then, you know, I don't know what happened after he went back to Fresno. That wasn't our doing. He went back up there and won again. Like they all knew his 60. I don't none of us knew his 60. You know what I mean? He showed up and we didn't know what was going on. So
Yeah, Fresno slacking, bro. They're slacking over there.
you gotta get on Mikey and tell him what the heck, man.
I know, man. That's my guy too. You know, Mikey's like literally the guy I've been like, you know, hyping up the most ever since I left. I'm like, bro, you're the local warrior now because he just he plays every day.
He plays
And
Pokemon.
like he's got he's got like now he's like what he's gotten 2 day 2s this season. So yeah, he's doing hella good. So
Yeah.
I was like, bro, what's going on? Why y'all letting Gazer win, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it just falls down to the matchup, right? Like sometimes, you know, you hit your bad matchups, they hit their good matchups, you know, but
Yeah, bro. I mean, every dog has their day, I guess.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, we give it to him.
Yeah.
We go next.
Yeah, we go next. Well, I mean, that's the list of topics I had. Again, thank you for coming on. Like we really appreciate you. It's always great hearing from a player that, you know, started out with a build and battle deck essentially and rose to a pro player, you know, and it's always cool to hear, you know, your outlook and your takes on things. So again, you're welcome here anytime. We appreciate you. I think all of us, you know, we've talked to you in one way, shape, or form at many events, and you know, we look at you as a friend, so we appreciate you being here. I'll let you, any shout outs, where to find you, the whole nine. I'll pass it over to you, let you do your thing.
For sure. I appreciate all you guys too, man. It's always great talking to you guys. Miss everybody out there in Cali, especially you guys. See you guys at the cups and stuff like that. But we'll chop it up at majors. I'm pretty sure most of you guys will be in Portland, if not all of you guys will be in Portland.
Yeah, we'll be in Portland for sure.
So, but of course, shout out to the Shuffle Squad, my sponsor. Shout out to my testing group, Cal, Josh, the Gamillas, Nick Moffitt, all those guys. They keep me sharp. Blake Ray, Zach Lesage. So all those guys helping me stay prepped for these events, keeping me up too on some of these down times during my season. Shout out to my fiance Yone. You know, she's also a really big reason keeping me out of like that slump. It's very easy to have those slumps like we were talking about earlier. And you know, I'm human. I have my mental health, you know, downs when I'm not doing the way I want to do or the way I feel like I should be doing. So huge shout out to her. And then yeah, big shout out to Tampa locals. Been really chill. Shout out to the Fresno scene. Miss you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we'll link your Twitter below. They can also coaching. Where do they find you for coaching?
Yep, I'm on Medify. So if you hit it, my Twitter, my link for Medify is in my Twitter bio. If not, you could just search KingDreC1out C1OUT on Medify, and you'll find me there.
We'll put it in the description below.
Yeah, we'll link it below. Thank you again. In our closing, find us on Twitter. Our whole roster of team is on our NetDeck Gaming Twitter. It's the pinned post. Shout out to FCBC for the sleeves. We appreciate it as always. Yeah, thanks again. Catch you on the next one. Peace.